as I'm traveling and doing this staff training, there are kids of all sizes, some that are taller than you, which if you had to like quote unquote save them, you're both going down. And I found too, I think also more importantly, that when kids aren't spotted from the beginning, they're never dependent on a spot. And and it's
Yes.
like turning that switch the opposite way when they've always been spotted takes so much longer.
Welcome to today's episode of the Here for Cheer podcast. I'm Megan Gomarlo, and I am so excited for today's guest. He is an 11-time NCAA champion. He is a 4-time summit champion, a 5-time majors champion, a 6-time world champion. He has over 24 years in the industry. It is Matt freaking Kelley. Matt Kelley, everybody, from Woodlands Elite. I'm going to start kicking things off. I want to know where that nickname came from.
I think when I cheered forever when I was younger, and when I started, there was like at least 4 Matts on the team, and so
Uh-huh.
it was all of us had kind of different nicknames, but still Matts. So I think like I just put that there so that way it was easier for them to know me or like
Yeah.
pick which Matt it was, and it just sounded so aggressive. So I was like, I'm keeping it. It's the Instagram name.
Yeah.
It's every name now.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so going off of as well, just kind of your introduction, you are, I mean, I think everybody knows who you are. If they don't, I don't know if they've been living under a rock in cheerleading. But you're incredible, your impact you've had on our industry when it comes to tumbling. Your presence at Woodlands Elite, obviously, that's a huge piece of who you are and what you do. But in addition to that, you are also traveling around and, helping gyms and helping programs build their tumbling program, also just kind of spreading knowledge and expertise when it comes to tumbling. I love your social media. That's the first time I kind of learned about you is I followed you. I subscribed to your kind of all your conditioning stuff,
Yeah.
and we started implementing that into our warm-ups. I know you have a ton of subscribers, and it just, kind of validates who you are and the great impact you have. You're also a dad and a husband, and I love that for you.
Thank you.
And that's another special kind of role that you get to play. But yeah, I am most just kind of in awe of your connection with the athletes that you coach. On a personal note, I know you from working with my eldest daughter, Kingsley, as well as Briar, my younger daughter. But Kingsley specifically was going through some confidence issues with her double. And there's a lot of people in her life who love and believe her, but you had a special kind of way of connecting with her and empathizing with her, the perfect touch and go of tough love, but also love, like in caring about her as a person,
Yeah.
and really helped her get through those setbacks. So it's obvious that you're brilliant, you're inspiring, and you're great at teaching. And I can't wait to pick your brain today. So
Thank you.
as a mom, thank you, for your impact that you have on the kids you coach. I wish you lived closer to us because truly my daughters just think you're incredible, as do I. So, okay, tumbling is kind of, you're the guru of it all. What had you fall in love with teaching tumbling?
I think cheering when I cheered, whether it was all-star and then college, I just loved it because I think back right now, I think stunning videos are like helping our industry grow. But back in the day, there wasn't a lot of that. There wasn't a lot of cameras and videos because, phones didn't have them back then. But I think just watching videos of people tumble, and I thought our sport could be represented by that because at that time, the only representation we had was MTV True Like I Want to Be a Cheerleader, and it was high school or middle school, and it was terrible.
Yep.
And it did not like show what we actually do. And it was right around the time that the X Games and like Red Bull was sponsoring all those like BMX and skateboarding and snowboarding. And I was like, we do cool stuff too. I need to figure out how to like start showing the world that. And that's where I created Karma Returns back in 2007. I was in Hawaii at Hawaii Pacific, and I had texted my brother, like, hey, this is the time to like do something. Like, we need to do it now while I'm here. All my friends are in the industry. Let's like show the world like we do cool stuff. We're not just sideline, we do more than that. So that's where I fell in love with it.
That's great. I love that. And then how did you land in Texas?
So I am born and raised in Texas, lived here my whole life.
Okay.
I started so back in the day, this rule is now where you can't do it, but my senior year of high school, our coach was the coach of University of Houston, and we used to be really good back in the day. Um, he figured out a way to put four of us in the band class at University of Houston when we were seniors in high school, and that had us be college students. And so we got to go and be on the team for Daytona as 17-year-old kids. Um,
Oh my
and it
gosh.
was insane. And so then, I did
Yeah.
cheered there 3 years and then ended up going to Hawaii Pacific. Everybody was going there. Everyone was so good. And the scholarships were, I think at that point, 80 or 100%. I had a full ride. So I was like, we're doing it.
That's incredible. I had no idea. I love that. Okay, so I know that you're super passionate about, taking care of the kids across the industry as a whole and in our sport. Um, if you could pick one thing you wish as an industry when it comes to tumbling we would stop doing, what would that be? I'm sure you might have a long list of things, that you'd wish that we could kind of stop doing, but what's one that you wish that, gym owners and coaches listening to this would kind of take away as we should stop doing?
Huh. All opinionated, but
Mhm.
backed by what I've seen work in full outs the last 20 years, because that's all I care about. It's like I love that things get posted on social media, but like for me, I'll look and see what that athlete does. And then when I see that team at a competition, I'm hoping that I can see something close to that. And when it doesn't, I'm like, So for me, all I care about is training athletes to where they can do it in a full out. Um, and for me personally, I'm not a big fan of arms down and tumbling. A lot of gymnasts do it where they'll flick all the way, almost to their thighs. But the way I say it, and it's not always the nicest way to say it, is that this year, the gainer girl, my girl Addie is, famous, right? I love
Yep.
Addie. I am lucky if I can get her to come to 1 hour a week of extra training because she has such a busy high school schedule and she's one of the best in the industry. Now, you take gymnasts, you can take the least lower talented of the higher levels, and they're still in the gym 20 to 30 hours a week. So, like, our comparison of their strength compared to ours, and I feel like kids aren't always the most motivated to condition, is uncomparable. But people hold on to that in this sport because that's what works for gymnasts. Someone said to me once, if it works for Simone Biles, it should work for cheerleaders. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's like,
Uh-huh.
what? And then I looked at his page and saw
Yeah.
he had not produced any sort of tumbling. And I'm not being mean
Yes.
about it, but I'm like,
No,
you got to
yeah.
be credible. Like, you can't just. There's so many that tumbled well as athletes, and that doesn't always transition into also being a good weather tumbling or all-star coach. But in our industry, it's like everyone stays in this industry. They're like, oh, now I want to work at the gym. Now I want to do private lessons or, whatever. So I'm just not a big arms down fan. And so many do it. They do arms down or they do feet behind. And I understand it all. But like, I like a simplified method of like making it simple for the athletes to understand. And then if I'm training the
Yes.
staff, making it simplified for them. Like of, hey, your feet
Yes.
are in front or your feet are under. That's it. For me, we don't do feet behind. At Woodlands, we don't do feet behind at all. And it just makes our life easier.
Yeah. No, I think that's so valuable and really great. And I think it kind of circles back to another industry-wide problem we have is getting great tumbling coaches. If you're seeing it everywhere, that like it's harder to get somebody that's really knowledgeable in the sport and is really going to teach things in a safe, great, way. Like we want to be able to make little copies of you, Matt Kelley, and put you all around. And I know that you're able to kind of give that impact by getting into gyms and doing that staff training. And I think what you just said there is beautiful that you need to simplify it. That tumbling is a very intimidating piece for a lot of coaches. They love cheerleading, they love coaching, and that knowledge of tumbling, it can seem very overwhelming. So I love the way that you're kind of advising to simplify the things. Like, that's great.
That's the goal.
Okay, so stopping that, what is something you want us to start doing more of as an industry as a whole in tumbling?
Tall tumbling instead of stretching so far, or instead of running and tumbling, tall tumbling, meaning like you do like as if you were tumbling your entire pass up a cheese mat. Your round off goes up the cheese mat, your back handspring goes up the cheese mat, your tuck lay full or double can land on a mat flat with it, like flush with it. So it's like everyone still back to the gymnast training, trains long and they have to run too, because then if they're doing feet behind, they're going to have to run to it. So then that way, when they rebound, they're going to have to get to this position and then initiate the flip. Where I'm like, I'm lazy. Just laying your back handspring like that or your whip and just rebound. Like, why do this? And we don't run. Cheerleading's so difficult. I don't want my kids' heart rates to get up because they're running for their pass and then have to hit their second or first stunt sequence. I'm like, simplify it so it works in full outs. Not what you think works for gymnasts, not what you think works because it did it in a tumbling class. Simplify it for full outs. And I think that would change the whole industry if that was kind of the style of coaching.
Yes. Holy cow. Like I love that. That's amazing. Okay. So, what is the most important foundational skill you think that we should be working on when it comes to tumbling in our classes or with our teams?
I love a high controlled round off back handspring rebound. So if we're talking about level twos and up, I am
Okay.
making sure that they understand my two positions. Round off, feet in front, so feet, tummy, head, back handspring, or if it's a whip, doesn't matter, land straight up and down. And I want that back handspring super high. I looked up once on the internet years ago, our wrists weigh 0.5% of our body weight. So if I weigh 100 pounds, this is half a pound, this is half a pound, and kids will rush that 1 pound to the ground. So then they're borderline in a bridge. Whereas I couldn't find this, but like hips, stomach, organs, butt, all that, I feel like it's probably 50 to 55%, maybe 60 of our body weight, if I'm guessing. So it's like getting the heavier body parts is more difficult. But so many kids will land their round off. And even if they do this right, feet in front, they rush their hands to the ground because it doesn't weigh anything. Whereas like they're leaving their hips and everything else behind. So I'm trying to get them to understand, give me a super high back handspring to the handstand, and it can go slow as you want. There's no need to speed it up. And then the fastest snap down ever. So that's kind of like
Yeah.
if I can get a kid to do that and then condition, if they like start to absorb, like I need to condition so I can get skills, do them in the routine and not get injured, then I can pretty much do anything, I feel like.
Yeah. Yes, I know, and that conditioning piece is so hard. How are you kind of motivating your kids to want to condition? I mean, I love that you're coming up with a lot of different things. I think you think outside of the box, in being a subscriber and seeing all of the kind of the drills and ideas that you come up with, and I love that you're incorporating hanging bars and weights and just a lot of different things instead of old school, "Hey, everybody sit up, push up, burpee."
Yeah.
So yeah, how are you motivating kids to wanna condition and understand that
I
importance?
think making it part of their for me, because now I don't coach teams anymore, making it a part of their end of the private or end of the tumbling class conditioning. So it's like they always know there's never a question. They'll just like, okay, what's the conditioning today? Like no one's like, oh, do we have to condition? Because we do it every time. So it's part of our like gym routine now. No matter what, the most I'll probably be able to get is 5 to 7 minutes out of them, and sometimes too, they go straight to their team practice or they go straight to another class. So it's not always doable, but I'm trying to make it a routine thing to where they do it all the time.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think too, we started a couple years ago of trying to like change the mindset of conditioning and not make it a punishment.
Yeah.
I think back in the day, a lot of coaches, that was kind of the coaching style. You dropped your top girl, it was 100 bear crawls. Like something happened and we were making fitness and being strong scary and bad versus that it's important and it's a great tool for you to carry on the rest of your life. So when we started to shift that mindset with our coaching staff, I think it helped the kids understand it because they're like, well, I don't like to condition because it's a punishment. So, and now you're telling me that we need to do it for fun and it's not fun. So I think that that's a huge important piece. When Lee was on the last episode, he was talking about the importance of CrossFit and how he loves to see athletes doing something outside of cheerleading to build that athletic base. And I thought that was great. We brought our kids to a Training for Warriors gym and one night a week, just in there working with all of the equipment that they have because we don't have that in our own gym. So I love that. And that comes to one of my this or that. So conditioning at the beginning of practice or the end? It sounds like you like it at the end of practice.
I
Is that where you like to see it best?
Yeah, I like it at the end.
Yeah. And especially they're warmed up, they're ready to go, they're kind of having done all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that that's
that's
like
great.
gymnasts will do the before. and totally understand why, like engaging core and all that. But like just with the way cheer is, and athletes probably aren't working out more than 1 day a week if we're lucky. I
Yes.
want to get to whatever that they're trying to get accomplished that day kind of done. And then I want to like push their bodies conditioning wise in the end. So
Yes.
instead of like the opposite, which I think both could work, but yeah, I just prefer the opposite.
Yep. So what is your ideal structure of a lesson or a class?
So right now, I don't coach teams anymore, and I only have 2 tumbling classes. So what I normally would do, and most of the time for me personally, these two are extreme. So the kids will come in, stretch on their own, and then I'll normally start on the floor with them. And I like to always start with cartwheel step-ins, not a rebound after, just so I can start to get them used to feet in front and like kind of tiptoe walking backwards. And then we'll
Okay.
do like 3 or 4 different versions of round offs, like just to warm them up and getting feet in front. And then I'll do this standing thing with them, trying to kind of also get standing warmed up, not like right into their hard standing, but like in a seated position, arms back, holding, and then doing a one. And I like to do a double rebound. And then we get into our round out back handspring rebounds. And honestly, with mine, because they're extreme, I don't even do tucks. We go straight into layouts just because
Nice.
you're already rebounding with straight legs. So I think it's pointless to rebound with straight legs and then bend them. So I'm just like, I'd rather you lay it out than tuck it if they can.
Yeah. Great. Okay. And then from there, you're doing drills or kind of getting your reps in until that kind of last conditioning piece?
Yeah, most of the kids that I have are on teams for the most part. I think everybody but one. And so we're getting whatever it is, maybe that their routine needs to be cleaned up. Sometimes the coaches in the gym will text us and be like, hey, her feet are super far apart. So we'll do drills for it. But we'll warm up everything on the floor. And then their newer stuff, or they're trying to perfect it, or maybe redo the entire technique, I'll put them on the rod or the tumble track. So it's like for me, they're everywhere. I have a couple that are usually always on the floor, a couple on the tumble track, and then a couple on the rod. And I'm just like from far away saying like, "Hey, Jennifer, feet in front," or "Hey, Susie, feet under," and they can just see it with my arms, and we just go.
Yep. I love that. And I really like that you kind of touched on the piece of working together with your team coaches. You know, sometimes the tumbling coach can seem so separate. And I love that you're kind of all working together to be the most, successful with that athlete. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do a couple of these this or that's, and then as to why you feel this is the first time we've done it. And I think it's exciting. So, first one is spotting versus drills that they can do without a spot.
Drills without a
What's
spot.
your take? Which one?
Drills without a spot.
And can you just touch a little bit why that's important?
Yeah, for one, as I'm traveling and doing this staff training, there are kids of all sizes. Some that are taller than you, which if you had to like quote unquote save them, you're both going down. And I'm 40 this year, so it's like me spotting stuff. If I'm having a save, I could tear my bicep, and for me only doing tumbling lessons, clinics, and a couple tumbling classes, I can't get injured. So it's
Yeah.
I found too, I think also more importantly, that when kids aren't spotted from the beginning, they're never dependent on a spot. And it's
Yes.
like turning that switch the opposite way when they've always been spotted takes so much longer. And
Yes.
and I don't know
Yes.
what it is, what the chemical is, or what it is in our brain, but trying a new skill and making a correction are very similar for whatever happens in our brain. And a lot of kids associate fear like as in I'm gonna die. And I'm like, sis, no one's died in tumbling. You're good. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna land this tuck and get through this tough time.
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm a big advocate on not spotting, and I know not all gyms have the ability for that. Like at Woodlands, we have tumble track into a foam block pit, so you can land on your head and you're gonna be fine. Then we go rod, and we perfect it on the rod, and then we go floor onto a mat. Then we're on the floor, so it's like a system. And when one doesn't work, let's say track and rod were perfect, and we go to floor and like two just weren't cutting it, we go back to rod, we perfect it, and then we condition them so much in the end so they get stronger to be able to do it on the floor. That's it.
Yes.
Never spotting.
Yeah. Yep. I love, love, love it. And I think that's so important. It's kind of like that analogy of a baby with a pacifier. Once we take it away, it's really hard. You know, those days as a parent are tough
Yeah.
of trying to sneak that pacifier out. And it's the same kind of thing as a spot.
Yeah.
So yes, I love that one. Okay. Now, a tumble track or a rod floor. Do you have a preference of one or the other? I know you probably like both because you have them both, but
Yeah, I like if the gym is able to have both, I like both. I like using the tumble track first for legit everything. Like I just
yep.
simple formula of like, okay, we're learning. Like I had a girl yesterday start fulls. And so I always have them do a power hurdle round up to find their spacing and a power hurdle round up to make sure it's correct. And then we start laying out and then I teach her how to spin. And a lot of people will say, well, why? Well, the kids, I'll say, well, I usually do a back handspring. And I'm like, it's difficult to find your spacing sometimes on a tumble track. That's for
Yes.
me, that's why I like a round off, but also because you never do round off skills, I want you to do it because it's scary for you. And then you're gonna start to be okay with being scared as opposed to like being scared of being scared.
Now, do you feel that we don't spend enough time on front tumbling in the industry of teaching? Generally speaking, I'm sure, things are different where you are, but overall, I think in my experience, it feels like kids are always racing to the next back skill and not living enough in those front tumbling skills. They're cheating the front walkover and then they're allowed to move on. And then once they get to front handsprings or punch fronts, it's like all kind of tricky. Um, how do you feel like we can get front tumbling to be more of a priority to our athletes and in our programs?
Well, it's looking like now, I haven't memorized it, but some of the updates of like advanced tumbling and elite tumbling, you're starting to see with the level sixes that like Rudy is in there now, like a front 1.5 and front fulls. And, I think it is nice because you got kids that struggle with back tumbling. So it gives them an
Yes.
opportunity to do it. I I'll do it with front to fulls, front to doubles, when like front tumbling. I just like personally to go if I have a choice, if they already have their, let's say, full, to do Arabian because as of right now, the Arabian is elite to full on 5 and 6, which I think is crazy. But for now, so front to full is only advanced. So it's like I want, and it's if I'm trying to get them ready for school cheer, college cheer, fronts on dead are deadly. Like they're just so hard on your shins. So it's like getting them that Arabian not only benefits them an all-star, but like helps them if their, goal path is to be like college cheerleader.
Yep. I love that you see the bigger picture of that too. Yeah. That's really, really good stuff. I love that. Okay. So now when it comes to equipment, if you could have a wedge or a panel mat, which would you prefer to have?
Panel. I don't really use wedges, and I'm sure I could, and there's more ways to do it. I feel like with the kids that I coach, I'm having them do standing backs onto that panel and then standing fulls off of it and working their way down. Or if they're getting their standing back, we'll do a tuck jump onto the panel and then we land two and then we open up and go down one, land two, and we just find what our max out is that day. Let's say there's 4 panels. The girl yesterday got down to two. We started falling on that two. So then we went back to the top, did like three, and then we conditioned after because after 2 weeks, hopefully, ideally, then we should be able to go down one panel because we're conditioning our bodies to get stronger.
Yes. Yes. I love that you circle back to conditioning every time. That's really great. Okay. Even when it comes, kind of just circling back to one more thing, when you're in a lesson or a class, what's your kind of thought process between doing, like a week of front tumbling and then the next week is back tumbling and then the next week is running tumbling and like do you feel like that's important with a class structure or do you like a nice mix of everything for athletes to learn in that kind of
I
environment?
think I like a mix, honestly. It's like I have a couple kids that are level 3 going 4, and they have their running layouts, and some even at that point too have their two to layouts. Cause like for us, right when they get that running pass, whatever it is, if it's a tuck, I want to push two to tucks. Because I feel like standing tumbling's neglected, even though it's the same amount on the score sheet. So it's like, and obviously
Yes.
I've never met anyone, maybe this isn't obvious, but never met anyone that can do a standing, let's say two to full or double, but not do a running full or double. Like whatever they can do standing, 10 out of 10, they're gonna be able to do it running. So I'd probably say that.
Okay. And then so do you prefer running tumbling or standing tumbling?
I like them both, honestly. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that they're doing both because even, our kids will be like, do we need to do the, one to fulls? And I'm like, yeah, if we're going to do doubles for us, it's like we need to start at least being able to do a one to full on the rod, at least. And then we'll start doubles. And kids are like, but I'm ready. We we can teach. I explained this to a mom the other day because I wanted the level 3 kid working level 4 for next year to get her front to lay out and or a whip tuck so she can contribute to level 4 elite tumbling. And she was like,
Yep.
"Can we do fulls?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna take me 5 minutes to teach her a full." So it's not that hard, especially with our pit. Like it's just not that difficult. It's gonna take way longer. And I don't know if you know this, but at level 4, you can't full. So it's like, what are we rushing for? Let me get them something to where they're just not like, I'm a level 4, I have a layout, or I'm level 5, I have just a full. I want them to front to
Yes.
full, Arabian, whip, whatever, but I'm just trying to give diversity and proper progressions instead of skipping, 'cause a lot of people skip.
Yes, because it comes back to bite you
Mhm.
when you're doing those kind of things. Okay, so now how do you feel about a parent's involvement in a class or a lesson? Do you like parents there watching and all the things? Do you prefer to have like a closed time? Like, what's your take on that? Because I know there's so many different opinions um, on what's best for the kid, in their learning process, or maybe it's case by case.
It's tough to say. I've never really thought about that. That's a good question. I
Yeah.
kind of forget that they're up there because we call it the fishbowl. They're up on the top second level in the fishbowl. I will now that I do mainly lessons. I try my best at least once a month, if not every other week, to text that parent and say what we focused on in that lesson that day. Coach Jeff said
Yep.
we
I
need to
love
work
that.
on her standing. Her feet keep coming apart for her, one to tuck. But we spent 15 minutes on that. Then the last 15 we went and did our fulls. So it's like I like the parents to understand because they're paying a lot of money, and I
Yeah.
want them weekly so I can like get more done with them. But like sometimes too, it's such a slow progression for parents. It's like I feel like if they are involved but not educated, they see, okay, layout now full, full now double, but there's so much in
Yes.
between that. And so
Yes.
I don't mind if they text me and ask me questions about it. I kinda like it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great too. And it's that education
Yeah.
piece of all, and now as a parent yourself that you want the best for your baby. And it's coming from a good place, and a lot of times our frustrations with parents is that they're not educated, and we are kind of then having that disconnect with them that,
Yeah.
we're not on the same page about.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Now you're huge in injury prevention. What can you give back to everyone listening to this to, do a better job of preventing injuries within our sport?
I
Kind of putting you on the soapbox.
Oh, okay. I think, and like you said, I haven't pushed it in a long time, but I do have subscription on Instagram that has, I wanna say, at least 150 workouts,
Oh,
and
yeah.
some are at home, no equipment, some are at your, cheerleading gym, some are at, like, fitness gyms. So and it was 4.99, and it's still there if people wanna do it. But
Yep.
I
We subscribe.
yeah,
So I
I
can
love
I
it.
can tell you we subscribe.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I think the main things are ankles, knees, and core strength. And not to say that arms aren't important. I do like to do every now and then arm stuff, just like if they're bases to get them strong for stunning. But like
Yep.
the injuries that I see the most are rolled ankles, and it's normally in
Yep.
something basic like a rebound because they're not thinking of their feet. Um, and then knees, of course, when it gets, okay, you want to start doing fulls, we need to up your workouts then because we need your hamstring, your quad, everything of your leg to be not only strong but fast twitching muscles too. So I'm like trying to involve all three of those: core,
Yep.
knees, and ankles.
And then now how many times a week would you prefer that they're conditioning?
If I had it my way, I've I I guess if they're level 5, 6, I would love whether they go to a workout gym or do something at the all-star gym or stuff at home. I would love 4 days a week. I know that's not
Yep.
realistic for a lot of kids because their schedules, because they're, school cheerleaders or in track or whatever they do, and just trying to social life because that matters to kids. It's like I'm I'll take 3. But a lot of time too, the parents can't bring them up a different day. So they'll bring them. I find that they'll bring them on their practice days. We'll do a lesson, but I don't want to like kill their body before their practice. So I'm like, okay, we're not going to work out today, but like tomorrow when you're not at cheer, I want you to do this. And who knows if they do it or they don't. That's the only
Yeah.
downfall. It's like I wish I had them on days that they weren't at practice so I can like really go
Yes.
at them and condition their body. But I know some people drive far and it's not realistic and they want a day off
Yeah.
from the gym.
Yeah. I love that you can help them, at home have those kind of things as well. Okay, so what is the most rewarding part of your job? Like what do you
Mm.
love about teaching tumbling?
I think watching the process of them learning the skill, struggling with the skill, because everybody struggles with the skill in the beginning. Like, there's just not
Yep.
really people that just got it and land it. That's not realistic. That's like a kid walking the first time they try to walk. So it's just not real life, even though everyone thinks it is. And that's why I'm like, my Instagram, I started trying to save videos of her learning that full and smacking and falling on the rod and then show that and then show them landing it to show one, like social media lies to you. Everyone kind of dies when they're trying to learn a pass. And it's
Yes.
okay. We just have to perfect it and work out and then move to the next surface, like rod to floor. But I think that if I can get them to understand that, I think it helps me the most.
So now what are some red flags you see in a tumbling coach? That, that advice to, parents or athletes that like, wow, this is not a good idea to be like training or tumbling here. Just some red flags that maybe it's that they don't have the education or, they're just what would you advise for parents or athletes to look out for?
A lot of the coaches in the industry, especially younger ones, will, this is what worked for me. And that's tough because maybe they're a gifted athlete, maybe they're stronger, they're faster. Who knows? It's like that isn't long term gonna work. Like and not
Yes.
safely either. So it's like I see that often, and then I see a lot of coaches very stubborn in their ways. There was one gym where the tumbling coach was like an old power tumbling coach, no cheer involvement at all, but worked at a cheer gym, would not let the kids do round off tucks, even though they were choreographed for the routine, because that was his ways. And he was, whatever age, 50 years old, and this is how he'd been doing it. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me. So it's like stubbornness. And then just the thought, like, this is what worked for me, or, that. I think those 2.
Yeah. No, those are great. Or I think like guaranteeing that someone is going to get you a skill.
Yeah.
Like there's also so many pieces that they need you. Okay, so now what would your advice be to somebody that wants to become as great of a tumbling coach as you? Like what path did it take you to get there?
I think trial and error, I think, honestly. And like when I was an all-star coach years ago, I think when I started at Woodlands, maybe even before at Texas Cheer before that, but I was reaching out to Brad Vaughn, one of the Spirit of Texas owners, because clearly they had been doing such great work for 25 years, whatever it's been. And I'm like
Yep.
pretty much asking him questions and he's mentoring me. Like, I have no problem messaging him and being like, "How are y'all doing this with this many full outs? And how does it look like that still after that many?" And I'm like just absorbing. Whereas, like, I feel like it's not cool to do that. It's not cool to like reach out and ask someone, like, can you please tell me? Because what I'm doing is just not getting the same result as you. And that's all that, for me,
Yeah.
that's all that matters. Who's getting results? If they're better than me at it, I'm gonna ask them how. And I have no, like, I'm not embarrassed of it. I wanna be good like them. So that's all I did.
Yeah.
I trial
Oh,
and
I
error and
love.
asking people.
That's really great advice. Okay, so now what does it look like when you come into a gym to run a tumbling program or a staff training for their tumbling? Do you ideally like a certain number of days? Like what kind of stuff are you offering in that way?
I guess it depends if it's a, like, tomorrow we leave for California. We're getting there. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll get there Friday. I think we're doing staff training, which for us runs about an hour to an hour and a half max. And then I think we're doing one of the clinics that day. And then I think we have the other
Okay.
3 or 4 on Saturday. But there are times
Yep.
too that we'll just fly in Friday and we'll start early Saturday at whatever time, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and then just go, 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 go. And the staff training just really depends. Like, if I had it my way, it'd be like staff training Friday, clinic Saturday. But it just all is
Yep.
different. It's really just different for it. But I think the staff training is just so crucial because the
Yes.
reality of like someone getting a skill in an hour and a half is not as high as people would think. Now, I think I have a higher percentage of getting people to throw skills that they don't think they can do, that their coaches have been trying to get them to do, just because like I do this like
Yes.
almost like soft bullying is what I call it. And trying to get them,
Yeah.
like, encourage them, but like I use like sarcasm a lot to help like push it.
Yep.
And I feel like I can get that more than getting new passes. But long term, if the staff understands why and this and follow this, like, or even close to it or add it into what you're doing, but try this. I think that long term, the gym will have more success.
And it's so important that we're continuing education on that front as well. I think, there are a lot of great opportunities for coaches to get out and learn the choreography, the score sheet, kind of dealing with the business side of thing as gym owners, but there's not as many resources for tumbling coaches. So I think what you're doing is so amazing. And especially like you can bang it out on a one night.
Yeah.
That's awesome to be able to have all your staff come in and get some great takeaways to amp up their tumbling program. So that's awesome. Okay, so I am sure that obviously in your long career, you have dealt with athletes that are dealing with confidence in a skill. What is your advice to the athlete and the parent if they're going through it right now? They had a skill and now they're unable to throw it. What's your best kind of advice for them?
And it's so different because everyone's scenario is
Is it
different,
yes.
but I'm
Yep.
trying my best to let them know, like, you're not gonna die. You're like, I promise. I even say, like, I talked to God today. You're good. Just trying to like get confidence in them and like, hey, let's just if you're nervous of doing it on the rod into the pit, let's go back to the track and do it. And I'm not spotting. Like I'm just not like I have sometimes some mental blocks that'll come in and I'm like, cool, we're gonna work this, but I'm not spotting you. Like I just don't spot.
Yep.
I don't want you to
Yep.
think that I'm gonna be there for you in that sort of way, like of catching you. Jesus saves. I'm not saving you. So it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying my hardest to get them with my soft bullying and sarcasm to know like, okay, he's right. Like it's just a tuck, like, or it's just a
Yep.
full. And even saying things like that, like adding the word just before it almost like dummies it down. Like, oh, it's just a double. Like what everyone has doubles. Like relax. I'll use
Yep.
those, even though it might not be
Yeah.
true, but it's like I'm trying to get their brain to be like, oh God, I guess he's right.
I love that. And you do have a great way of connecting them. Okay, so let's talk about preparing our teams to go full out. What is your advice when it comes to that? To getting them ready to go full out for the season?
This one's so tough because you got, let's say it's a medium and you got 30 kids. How many of them come in and train? How many don't? How many over the summer? Everyone grinds because they want to make that team that they got placed on or get
Yes.
that new skill. So it's like, then you do choreography and you put that three to double in, but then you don't do it at practice or you're falling at practice and your transition sucks. So now we have to fly out this choreographer, pay 3 grand the gym, not that parents, and fix it all. So it's like finding a happy medium of first and foremost, can they do it outside of practice in their tumbling class or lesson successfully and repeating it consistently to where the coach feels strongly like, okay, this will work. The second step,
Yep.
even though it's not that hard, but it is like mentally challenging for kids, do it at your practice. Your double or your one to full is not choreographed in the routine. But when y'all warm up tumbling, I want you to do it because you're doing it in front of your coaches and your peers. So you're going to feel pressure. And then they're like, okay, cool. And so that's my step two. Step three, if they have
Yep.
routines, is whether they're running sections or full outs. I want, if I feel they're going to be safe, which is that's where they coaches have to be smart. But I want after we train something, a section, whatever, for Samantha to go to the side, show me you're standing full now. Because if you can do it when you're tired, I trust putting it in the routine. And that's how
Yes.
I build up. And we've done it with our J6 kernels for years of like getting them in, with those 3 steps. And then it's like, okay, all right, we're putting it in. Now it's in. And
Yeah.
then that's a whole different thing too. I could go on and on about this, but like now that it's in the routine, what all is before it? And that's the first thing I ask. Like with generals, I don't coach them anymore. But I have all the kids and they're all my girls. And so I'm like, all right, what is your order of skills? And so as I'll try to put, let's say, run the routine in a lesson, and let's say it's 3 skills with choreo, I might do no choreo the first time, like walk to your spots, do the skills. Okay, we're dying on that second skill. Cool. Okay, let's just do no choreo, the first skill on the second stop, breathe 20 seconds, then the third skill. So I'm trying to like
Yep.
build their confidence up to let them see I can land it. I'm breathing really heavy right now, but I can land it. And then I'm starting to add more each time. Like, okay, now let's add the choreo with it. Cause choreo is hard. Like there's ups and there's downs, and like you're like having to perform it too, and then go do your could be your hardest skill. So it's
Yes.
choreo does take energy out from kids. So it's building them with the choreo as well. So I would do it exactly like that.
I love it. Okay, so now going back to when you were coaching, what else does it come to with full outs? Like, how many full outs are you running? I know this is something that we always are seeing in the world of cheer. How many full outs do you like to have your kids run at the start of a practice? Or do you think is, and I know it differs from level to level, but more of in a general sense, what's kind of your go to?
If let's say there wasn't like spring break or Christmas break or Thanksgiving right before it, let's say everyone's like in the go, routines are good. I would say
Yep.
two. I would say two routines. I,
Yes.
I like two for us
Okay.
or for me. And I feel like we can do the routine, we can watch the video, we can go over like, hey, you did this, what is that transition? Why were your feet behind you? And then we breathe, they get water, and then we come back and we do it again. And I
Yes.
prefer that. And then just breaking up sections or breaking up stunt drills of just reps of stunts and everything of that nature.
Yeah, I think that's great. And it kind of can help you plan your practice because right out of the gate, you're going to see where your weaknesses are and be able to kind of hone in on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. Okay, how about these kids that want to cheer in college? What are you seeing trending wise? Like, what should they be working on?
Trending seems to be acro lately. Acro is like so high up, which, is way different than cheerleading. They don't step and they're standing tumbling. And so that's a big deal for kids that have stepped their whole life and run backwards for their standing. It's like, not
Yes.
just doing it on dead, but also doing it no steps. Acro seems to be the new wave, which I love. And I do still think College All Star is remarkable. Um, so for me, it's like as I have them, let's say their senior year, their junior year, all their skills, skills that are in the routine are all good to go. We're starting to like push things for college. So the things now are bounding, whip full, two to fulls, two to whip fulls, all that sort of stuff, and trying to make them be in like the best position they can be to beat out people because how college is, there's so many spots available.
Yeah.
People are fighting for those spots, and then sometimes there's scholarships added. So it's like there's money involved, like you have to be on your A game. And I always feel bad for my kids that like two of the girls are the exact same in technique or like talent, and they're just like fighting it out. I want them to be so far ahead that there's no question. Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's so good. Okay. What else do you have for me that you would just like for coaches to know about tumbling?
I think proper progression is crucial. I made a form that I put up on like a TV if we're airdropping and I'm doing staff training, and I'll print it out for them or
Okay.
send it to them. And it's so basic. It's like level 3. It's running tuck, front walk over to tuck, start pushing standing two to tuck, and then go running layout, two to layout, one to lays. Are you getting your elite pass through to level 4? And then spin. So it's like following these steps. But I also understand too that like some gyms are right next door to the other. So if she is paying you for that lesson and you need that money as the coach too, and you don't want that kid to leave, you're just going to let her do whatever she wants. That's trending right now, and I completely get it. The gym needs the money from this
Yes.
athlete to for revenue, but I'm letting her get away with not doing what she should be, which is unsafe and could potentially have an injury. So it's like sticking to your guns. And I feel like what happens, because my brother and I go to this gym in Boston. We've been there. We're leaving in October. I think this is our third year. And the kids
Oh, fun.
starting 3 years ago to now and watching how many doubles have turned over and everything, and we come back once or twice a year is so insane and so cool to see. And it's so rewarding for us. But like they take in like, hey, simplifying this, these are the angles, take it in this progression. They've taken it and run with it. So it's like creating a program for the gyms that I go to based off of the equipment that they have for how they can structure progression. Maybe not structure the class, but progression for the athlete from level 2 to level 6. That's, I think,
I
so
love
important.
that. Yes, yes, and it's something that you do. Okay, so now if a gym owner wants to get you out to their program, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
It can be Facebook, Matt Kelley, or it can be Instagram, which is Matt Frickin with no G, Kelly. I think it's going to be attached to this, but they can reach out to me.
Yes.
I know I have a lot of 2026 dates. I just started doing those for January. I'm trying to do one, max two a month, and then summer I'll grind again. But I love it, and I don't think I've had a negative review yet. Um, And I'm
No,
trying
you're
to,
awesome.
I want to keep doing it and trying to help and simplify things for the athletes and the coaches. And I feel that once they do that and their athletes and parents start seeing results, there's no more question of like, why am I doing this? It's because it works. I've clearly seen it, so I'm gonna listen to what this professional says.
And kind of I love circling into a, like, feel-good moment. Who's somebody you wanna shout out in the industry that's just doing a good job right now that, you're a fan of, you're proud of, you've been inspired by? Who's your kinda shout out? Somebody that helped you to get where you are today,
Hmm.
just to get that positivity flowing.
We got a friend group in our text message group. We call it's the Avengers, and I really love everybody in there. There's so many
Uh-huh.
of them, and we'll post sometimes drills or yo, look what this athlete did. It is Casey Blue, Roman, Jimbo, Ramel, Jason Larkins, Callie. I'm forgetting Shay from Brandon. Like there's, and I know there's more in there. I'm just forgetting him. Corey, and Twist from Cheer Extreme. I love those
Yeah.
guys and girls because not only are they producing, so they're backing up what they're saying and teaching, but they're producing it too, to consistently every year. Like Twist is probably my
Yeah.
favorite tumbling coach. He makes his athletes look the exact same when it comes to spinning, and I obsess about that. And I'll text him and be like, "Bro, what
Yeah.
are you doing? How are you doing this?" And he's the one that showed me during COVID the open layout, and I'm like, I have done it ever since then. So those guys in there, and I feel like I'm forgetting someone, but those guys in there definitely love them. I look up to them.
I love that so much. And I think it's so important that we can kind of celebrate our friends in the industry. That it's okay to fan over each other and to give those shout outs. I love the way that you're reaching out to people that you're seeing great things from and trying to, like, pick their brains. And the way that, like I said, you're giving back on your social media nonstop. I know that that's a whole nother job of getting out enough content, but you're always sharing and not only celebrating your athletes, but also sharing so much knowledge in the sport. Okay, aside from some traveling and continuing to kind of touch the industry with staff training, what else is some of your goals moving forward?
Um,
Or what's next for you?
I want to keep growing the clinics, and trying to build relationships with those gym owners to bring me back often. And one of my best friends, who's you met, Justin File, comes with me. We teach the exact same, and then my brother. I switch off, kind of bringing them for based off a schedule. But I want to do more clinics, and I have a clothing line, Karma Returns, that I was talking about. We have decided, or I
Yep,
decided, I was like, I'm ready to start putting out our own personal shirts again. We used to do it, and I shipped them to 14 countries, all 50 states. Like, so we want to get back
I
on
love
that
it.
too, just to hopefully
Yeah.
keep inspiring.
Yeah, that's so great. Ah, well, I am such a fan of you and all that you do. You know that. This is an amazing episode, and there are so many things that everyone is going to be able to take from this to make themselves better and make their program better. Do you have any kind of final things you want to touch on before we sign off?
If anybody needs any sort of help, like just reach out. Like other countries are setting up Zooms, and the staff training is going to be via Zoom, and or it's hey, I'll send a video. They'll send me a video. Can you critique it? And I'd love to. Like, and I've created like mentorships of like monthly fees and trying to do that, but it didn't really kick off. I had like four people pay for it, and one of them really followed through. The rest didn't send me videos. So I'm like, dang, y'all paid this money. I would love to be able to do that and be
Yeah.
consistent with those coaches and help them with their training of those
Yes.
specific kids, because it is difficult to be in every gym. Especially with
Yes.
a family too. It's like I don't want to be in every gym every weekend, but I want to
Mhm.
help as
That
much as I
balance
can.
is
Yeah,
tough.
finding a balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And what a great way that, we can use technology to be able to use your brilliant brain looking at different things. Well, I am so grateful that you took the time out of your busy life to be on here today. You're amazing at what you do, and I'm so grateful. Yeah, and I thank you so much for not only being somebody that my children and my athletes love, but also somebody that I am so fond of as well. So thank you. Wishing you all the success in the world. And I can't wait for you to come out to our gym in
I can't wait
January.
to. Thank you
So,
so much for having me. I definitely appreciate this, and I can't wait to get out to y'all.
yeah. Yay. All right. Well, have a good day.
Thanks.